Good morning. Sorry we had a little trouble with our connection, but we're good to go. So here we go. Go ahead and get yourself some blankets and bolsters, pillows, what have you, rolled up mats, blocks, books, sandbags if you have them. And actually we're going to start at the wall, but I just want you to know that you can use anything you have around you. I've brought in some big pillows from home just in case they become helpful. So I hope you're all doing well. And happy new moon, a time to perhaps start anew. So come to stand. I'm finding that I really need to be more mindful when I'm standing at home, even just in front of the sink doing the dishes, right? Good morning, everyone. So let the four corners of your feet truly root and ground. Find them, two in the top and two in the heel, and pick those toes up, spread them wide, and feel your knees pull in and up. That one took me a little while to figure out, but once I did, my legs felt much better and stronger, in fact. And then give your tailbone, if you like, that little scoop that some of us benefit from, not all of us, so you'll be your teacher there. Pulling it up through the navel and roll back through your good shoulders. Find something that doesn't move to gaze to help your balance. Let it be a soft gaze rather than a stare. Find that beautiful breath that brings you the gift of life. Bring one hand to your low belly. Bring one hand to your heart center. Keep breathing. Slow, steady breath. And if ever the breath does not feel slow and steady, give yourself permission to be grateful for that awareness. For when we are aware, that's when we're able to make change. And that's the beginning of change. And now switch your hands. Let the low hand move to the heart center and the heart center hand move to the lower abdominal area. Keep filling. Keep emptying. Find that beautiful space for inhale. Find that beautiful space for exhale. And now invite both hands to meet in front of your heart center. Keep them active. Spread the fingers wide. Press the palms together. The elbows move away from each other. How are your feet? How are your knees? How is your tailbone? Slow, steady breathing. Feel your upper back begin to awaken. And open to Lotus Flower Mudra. And truly invite all that you're wishing, hoping, wanting, needing, even what you don't even know you need. Welcome it to keep you safe, to keep you healthy, to invite some happiness as you reach up above, receiving all of that good sunshine. And bringing hands down the midline, balancing your good brain. Letting thumbs press into your heart center. We'll open with the sounds for mercy, healing, and compassion. Om, O-M or A-U-M. Namo, N-A-M-O. Kwan, K-U-A-N. Shi, S-H-I. Yin, Y-I-N. Pusa, P-U-S-A. Om Namo Kwan Yin Pusa. And listen, say it silently. Join in as you wish after inhale. Om Namo Kwan Yin Pusa. Namo Quan Shin Posa. Om Namo Quan Shin Posa. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. On an inhale, reach your arms out and up. Interlace your fingers overhead, palms press up to the sky. On an exhale, release your hands. Let's take it to the wall for a pose I like to call waterfall. You'll be with your feet a bit away from the wall. My toes are not touching. However, my second and third toe are in line with my heel. And I'm going to claw my fingertips and cup my palms. That keeps my arms active all the way up the wall. And then just my fingertips and just my forehead are going to touch the wall. If you arrive here and your back is not happy, you have some options, right? You could walk your feet a little closer. You could check in with that tailbone area again and do that little pulling it up through your core. Notice my arms are long and not bent. Some of us, if we have injuries we're tending to, you might prefer to bend, but see about the long arms. Slow, steady breathing. Feeling the inhale fill you. Feeling the exhale empty you. Imagine, if you will, a beautiful waterfall with just the right amount of pressure and just the right amount of temperature for you. Flowing down your back, all the way down the backs of your legs. And on your next inhale, begin to push into your fingers as you bring your hands down the wall. We'll step the feet back and we'll take a down dog with the wall. So basically you're creating a 90-degree angle. Your wrists are in line with your shoulders. Your heels are under your hips. Your knees may have a micro bend. Take a peek at your fingers. See them spread wide. Pull the elbows in and up a bit. Slow, steady breath. Ears near the upper arms. Notice if your head is hanging or lifted, and encourage your head to be in line with your spine and your arms. Notice if your body, your upper body is sinking or lifted, and encourage length to appear. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. This is a very nice posture, especially if you have anything drawing your attention with the sciatic nerve. It's a wonderful posture for our pregnant mamas. And it's really nice for all of us, especially if we're in maybe an office atmosphere or we've been seated for a very long time. It's a nice alternate to the full down dog. And on your next inhale, walk your feet toward the wall. Start to walk your hands up a bit, and we'll take chair pose with the wall. So just be sure that you have your grounding, that your mat is good and secure. Famous last words. And we'll come on down. There we go. So my feet are grounded. My tail is pushing into the wall. Upper arms pushing into the wall, wrists in line with elbows. They tend to want to come up, and back of head pressing into the wall. So there's a little bit of space between my mid back and the wall. Slow, steady breathing. Feeling your feet press, feeling your low back press, feeling the back of head press. And on your next exhale, we'll come all the way down and we'll make our way to a full, a wide leg, stance forward fold. So let me move a little closer to you here. I'm coming up onto a blanket. You'll see if you want to. And I have blocks for my arms to lean against. And you're always welcome to prop higher, especially if you're feeling tighter. Sometimes that's helpful. And you remember that your blocks have 3 different levels, right? We have 1, 2, 3. And if you don't have blocks, there's plenty for sale at the studio. When the studio reopens, I will not be supplying props. So if you want to be in touch with me about purchasing some, do. And we'll find our way here with books if you don't have blocks, no worries. On an inhale, lengthen, fingers interlace, palms to sky. I have my feet flexed. You may want to point and reach through your toes. You'll see what feels best for your legs, really, is what we're keeping awake by keeping the feet active. And then you'll see where your block or your stack of books or whatever you have, maybe you have some pillows, makes sense. And your palm is open. And then we'll reach that top hand up to the ceiling. Slow, steady breath. So just notice if there's any leaning one way or the other. And then top hand makes its way near the ear. Keep breathing. Notice the inhale. Notice the exhale. And your top hand reaches overhead. Your bottom hand lifts, fingers interlace, palms press away, and you lengthen. And then we'll exhale to the other side. And you'll see what works on this side. Check in with your feet. Reaching up and then inviting the top hand to rest near your ear. You can gaze to the floor a bit in front of you. You might gaze across from you. Some may be gazing up over the elbow. And then reaching, top hand over, bottom hand lifts, fingers interlace, palms press, and we return to center. Now let's do our forward fold. I'm going to bring in some more pillows for that part. So find what you need. And then even my blocks, and I'll see if I want to adjust. And that's the wonderful thing about restorative yoga, but sometimes for some of us it takes a little patience. So let's inhale and lengthen the spine first, and then exhale. You could start on your forearms, or you could start to release your head. So finding out how the pose works for you may take some patience, right? You might find, oh, this is a pretty good spot to be. And then as you begin to release, your body might let you know that you need to adjust and do something different. And that's okay too. Find your inhale. Invite the prana in. Find your exhale, release. Beautiful prana, what we each tap into when we breathe in. And then the apana, that which is required to help us release the downward moving energy. Letting go all that we may be clinging to, especially during these times. We tend to hold on even tighter when change is so very apparent. and then we feel it in our bodies. So we invite the forward fold to help us release. And you know, typically the forward fold is calming. And typically a longer exhale is calming. And then on an inhale, begin to lift your head and your heart and interlace the fingers if you like. Press the palms away, lift and lengthen. Release your hands and we'll move to Karmasana, our turtle pose. Those turtles are quite active if you're lucky enough to live near the canal or the towpath or even a lake. Maybe you've seen them sunning themselves. And it always seems like they're in size order. So I like to have my knees propped, and I'm actually going to come down to the ground off of the blanket here and roll my blanket to support me a bit more. Let's see. So my feet are not right next to my body like they are for the cobblers or the Baddha Konasana. They're further out in front. And I'm going to add a rolled up mat this time and see if that gives me what my body needs. We'll experiment, right? Maybe another block. So I'm thinking that in your house, maybe somewhere you have a big old dictionary that would work for you. We look words up online anymore, right? Okay, so let's give ourselves a moment. Well, I'll move that block until I lengthen. Lengthen spine, open the heart center. You can even take your middle finger and your thumb and press in that upper chest area. So your fingers are pressing, but your chest is pressing as well. And you're opening your heart without overdoing it with your low back. You're giving your upper back permission to open a moment. I find, especially with all of my checking in on the phone, I'm really hunching. So yoga gives us permission to undo that. And then we'll fold forward again. So you may, again, have to adjust. I'm going to try the block under the blanket. That's what will work for me. And that way, the rolled mat, the blanket, are against my upper body, and I can release here. That feels kind of nice, actually. And maybe you'll see what your neck wants now. So you could let your head rest on one side or the other. You might have a really big difference between sides. Listen to your body, please. Remember, you don't need to look like me, or if you're practicing with someone in your house, you don't have to look like them either, but you do need to find what works for you. It's an experiment. It is also a practice. No finish line. We practice for as long as we need, and for most of us that means for as long as we're here, right? My traditional teacher, who gave us these postures rooted in his teachings from his teacher in India, has a book entitled Yoga for the 3 Stages of Life. So it's allowed to change as we change. If you can, give both sides of your head time to rest, even if there's a tighter side. And then bringing your head center on an inhale, we'll lift up. And we'll move the props off to the side now so that we can remember to rise like the lotus. Your hands will move under, so they're in the middle, and then under your low legs. Fingertips claw. Keep your fingers and toes active and lift your feet. Maybe you'll do one, maybe you'll do the other. Spread your toes, take a mudra, middle finger to thumb. It's one of my favorites. Patience, courage, determination. Oh, good medicine for us all. And remember the journey of the lotus. It needs the mud. Without the mud, it would have nowhere for the seed to begin to root. And it needs very strong roots because it's dealing with the ebb and flow of the water. And then that beautiful stem makes its way up to the sunshine and the flower blooms on top. And if you're interested, read about the different colors and what they symbolize. No mud, no lotus. I like to smile and remember the mud is good for the skin. Notice if your back is rounding, press down a bit, lift up a bit. Release and give those knees a well-deserved hug for all of the places they carry us, all the ups and downs. Spine lengthening, slow, steady breathing. Now, if ever in any of these poses you're just feeling it and you want to stay, do. I'm going to keep moving through different options, but restorative yoga really is about giving yourself permission to release. So please don't feel rushed. We're in Instagram land here, so we have a time limit. Thread the needle for those good shoulders. Take a blanket, place it underneath, in the middle of your table. So it's going to make a place for the side of your head and your shoulder to rest. Your first arm reaches up and then moves underneath, and you're resting so that your neck and your upper back are happy. And then remember, sometimes our hips turn to one side or the other, so give them permission to come center. And now this front hand has lots of options actually. It could reach forward and stay quite active, which actually feels just right for me. Or it can reach to the other hand. If it moves way far out in front, see if you can press palms and open up a little more as you move to side of head. And then I know some of you like to reach up and around, and the top of your hand finds your low back on the other side, or your fingers are sneaking inside your hip crease, and that's a nice way to experience thread the needle as well. Breathe. And you know, if ever, whenever you feel balanced, you may close your eyes or continue with the soft gaze. And then that top hand retraces its steps so that we can move to the other side. Return to your table, lifting the other arm in line with your shoulder, and then underneath it goes. Doing as you did on the first side, reaching forward. Checking in with the hips that tend to turn. Pressing palms together. Reaching up as you wish. And again, top of hand finds low back, or fingers start to move inside the hip crease. And then coming out the way you came in. Let's take a restorative child's pose. So if you have a rolled up mat, maybe a blanket, maybe some blocks. I'm going to put 2 blocks this time on top of my rolled up mat. And they're just in between my knees, so my legs can actually hug on. And let's see, what else do you have? Do you have another blanket or a nice big pillow? And then if you like, that can rest against your stomach area, and as you fold forward, you should feel good and supported. So remember, the props are a bit between the knees, and some of us, our ankles grow tight, so you might need a little roll of blanket under your ankles. My big toes are touching, and typically the advice is if you're feeling tight, if you can bring your legs a little wider, but the big toes still touch, that should help. You might need another, let's see. Oh, we're good. And so again, in your balasana or your child's, you might decide to simply rest your forehead. Or you may find that one side of your head wants to release. And throughout practice, we're working with Ujjayi breathing. Slow, steady breath. Letting that breath soothe you as it fills you and empties you. The more we pay attention to the breathing, the better. Gently lifting your head and switching sides if that's what you're doing. Bringing the mind back to the breath whenever, if ever, it wanders. Bringing your head center, pressing down in order to lift up, and we'll take it to a propped pigeon. So I would have either a rolled up mat on hand or a blanket, your blocks in front of you. And again, from table, we'll bring, well, let's lift the right foot and flex the foot so it's active through the leg, and then pull that knee underneath you and move forward towards your thumb. So my back leg is long, and if you press into your blocks, you can lift up and check in on that back foot, invite second, third toe in line with heel, and then whichever you have on hand, you can slide under your front hip. Now, most likely you'll feel a stretch, but if you feel the sensation of pain, I ask you to change your props, please. And then notice if you're, meaning prop higher under your front hip. And notice if your hips are open to the side, can you bring the back hip forward, just like you might do in your warrior one? And breathe. Opening the heart, keeping the toes active so the feet are active, so the legs are active. And then we're going to fold forward again. So you might start with a block for your forearms to rest on, or you might grab that if you have a bolster. The bolsters went fast this week. They were popular. They're nice to have, right? Maybe you'll find some blankets or big pillows and release yourself forward. So again, I have one pillow against my knee, but I'm going to bring the other pillow closer so it supports my upper body. And this is the thicker part, that will be a bit better. And you can rest your forehead or one side of your head again. Again, please stay longer if you like. When you're ready, we'll lift up and do the other side. So you can always catch up with us when you're ready. Returning to table. The left foot will reach back this time. The toes reach down. They like to move out to the side, right? And now the knee moves toward the thumb. I'm going to find my blocks again. That feels better for me. And then make sure there's room for your leg to be long. If you're too close to the wall, you might have to move a bit. Check in, second, third toe in line with heel. And then that front foot can move a little out to the side if you like. See where your knee is happiest. That front knee needs to be happy. Oh, and here we'll maybe a blanket or a block under your hip. I like the blanket better. And then setting up your props as you like. Experimenting as you go along, finding out what works as you forward fold. Sending the inhale to any spaces that are hanging on, that are clinging. Giving them permission to open up a bit, release a bit. And then as you inhale, lift, and we'll return to a table. And we'll move to a propped hero pose. So let's see. I'll do it this way so you can hopefully see a bit better. Now, if you have a good sturdy pillow, that will work best, but no worries. If not, we'll improvise. I like to have a little setup of blocks. Let me see if I can do it closer here for you to see. At all 3 levels. And then I think this pillow is going to work best. It's a little sturdier. And you just want to be sure. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the lounge chair. If we go there, we might just go right into rest, which would be wonderful. But let's start with the hero. Yeah, let's start with the hero. So you know how to do that. That's a good thing. The hero, you may want a blanket under your ankles. And you may want a block between your ankles, excuse me, so that when you sit down, you have a boost. And then, we do want some things behind us. So let's see. Remember, it's an experiment. And actually, I want the floppier pillow for this. So you'll see with your bolster what works. Some of us are going to stay right here. This is just fine for our quads, right? Others are going to see what it's like to release back into a supported hero. So I need to make a little more space for my pillow here. There we go. So I have feet, block, pillow, and then I have some more blocks supporting the bolster or the pillow. And they feel a little wobbly, so I'm gonna do a little something to help them not be so wobbly. Aha! So then I have a block on an angle. Now if you have a bolster, you might not need the blocks at all. Our pillows aren't quite as sturdy, so we'll see what happens here. And I'm going to see about adding a rolled up mat too. So you prop, layer on, and let's see what happens if we start to move back. Now some of us have done hero on the floor. Pretty good. I need something for my head though. Without all these props. Much better. Can be a little awkward, especially if we haven't been here in a while. Slow, steady breathing. Opening you up to all that will be. Breathing through the unknown. And bringing the mind to this moment with your inhale. And as you're ready to come up, you might find your feet and press your hands into your feet so that you can begin to lift. Again, if you're happy to be in your resting hero, stay there, remembering even heroes need a rest. And now we'll move to our supported fish pose, which is some of our favorites. Hero can be a little tricky if you haven't done it in a while, so no worries if that was awkward. All right, what are we going to do with all this now? Let's move some off to the side, and let's have your blanket or bolster. I'm going to roll my blanket up so it's from the wider side, and that way I'll get a thicker roll. You could also roll the blanket from the longer side, and then you'll get obviously a longer roll, but it won't be as wide. So we're all different shapes and sizes, and we have different needs. Experiment, find out what you need. And I wish I was there to help you and prop you up. The bolster, blanket, pillow, whichever you have, comes to your low back. And I'm going to place a rolled mat under my knees too. And then we lower down. And some of us love to have our head lower than our heart, and some of us don't. So if head lower than heart doesn't feel just right for you, find something. The block seems to be just the right size here to lift your head up on. And then let your arms rest. Now, if you feel like you need more of an opening, you might add a rolled up mat along with your rolled up blanket or another blanket or even some blocks. See what works for you. Slow, steady breathing. And typically in fish we have our feet active, but this is restorative fish, so we're letting our feet rest and our arms rest. You can make your fish fin for a moment if you like. And again, whenever you arrive somewhere and it feels just glorious and you want to stay, please do. I'm going to move on so I can give you some more options. So you can press into your forearms as you're ready and begin to lift your head and your heart. You might even move to one side a bit. And now we're going to move closer to the wall, and we'll do legs up wall with some options. So this is a nice place to have your sandbag. Creating a mess over here. Oh, and I like to have a prop between the wall and my low body. So if you have a nice bolster, you could put that there. If you don't have a sandbag, no worries. It's just a luxury, a nice addition that you might eventually want to have. And we'll move close to the wall and get those legs on up the wall. And I would have things close by in case you decide you want to incorporate them. And once your legs are up the wall, let's do that nice releasing for your hips that some of us have done before at the studio. So my feet are just a little more than hips width, and I'm going to let my right foot turn out and then turn in. But then I'm going to tell my foot and my knee to stop doing the work and let that wonderful ball and socket joint do the work. Almost like you could imagine cleaning out there, right? We hold a lot in our hips. We each have our favorite places. Some of us, it's our necks. And I'm sure the list goes on, right? So not to dwell there, but to acknowledge it, that we stuff things in certain places in our bodies. We hold stories there. And then we feel it. And the body, well, it whispers to us. And some of us say, oh, it's okay, just a whisper. But one wonderful person, wise person said, please listen to your body when it whispers so you don't have to listen to it when it screams. Okay, so now that turning leg will slide away from you and the other leg will bend. And this is where you may want a sandbag. So let's see if we can get the sandbag up on, you might have to figure out how to prop it. There it goes, on your shin and your foot, just to give you that little added extra push down. And then you'll see, is this long leg happy? Do you need to give it a little boost? And then how are your arms? Slow, steady breathing here. Remember, brain and breath are best friends. Please stay if you wish. I'm moving to the other side, bringing the long leg center, bringing the other leg center. Again, feet a little more than hips width, and now the other leg takes a turn, turning in and turning out. Telling your hip socket to do the work now. And finally letting that turning foot slide away from you. The other leg bends. If you have some weight to add to the bent leg shin, see where you can have it between the wall and your shin and on top of your shin. Support the long leg if you like. Release your arms. Remember, anytime we can get the feet above the head, it's super good for our circulation, for our heart. If you'd like to stay here, please do. I want to show us a couple more ways to release and rest, just in case you find them helpful and you want to practice them more at home. Remembering to give our practice a balance, where there are times when we really need to get moving and the blood pumping, and there are other times where we really need to give ourselves permission to take it easy, to rest. And then your long leg comes center. And let's bend both legs now. I have, again, the rolled mats between the wall and me, so I'm going to add a block for my feet to rest on and take a resting goddess or a sleeping goddess for a moment. Remembering our beautiful springtime energy is about the goddess. Without her, we wouldn't have all of these beautiful colors popping up all around us. So if your shoulders don't mind, bring your arms even into goddess arms, or some like to call it trident, with your wrists and elbows in line and your elbows and shoulders in line. If that's too much for your shoulders, undo, bring your arms long to the side or even next to you. And as we start to slow it down, you may want to cover up with your blanket or your shawl or your scarf, whichever you've brought along. This is a really nice place too if you happen to have an eye pillow. You can always put a tissue over your eyes and then a little bit of pillow. Nice to have lavender inside. You're welcome to stay here. I'm going to show you the lounge chair. It's one of my favorites. So if you're moving, bring the knees together, and bring your body to the side. Rest there for a moment. Maybe your bottom arm becomes a pillow for your head. And as it makes sense, you'll press your top hand into the floor to come up to sit. And before the lounge chair, we're going to release your back a bit. So if you have a bolster, have that bolster right up against your hip. My knees are out to the side and my feet are relaxed for this part. I'm going to add some things because I don't have a bolster now. So what can I do? Well, I need my prop to be higher. So I think if I add some blocks under my blanket, that should work. However, I want these props against my hip so I feel supported in my side body. And we'll see if that's too high or too low. Pretty good so far. I need something for my, oh no, I think if I go like this, it'll be fine. Yes, this is very nice. So my legs are relaxed and to the side, and my upper body is straight in line with my mat. And then it depends on where that actually feels nice, where your shoulders and back and neck feel good, where you'll place your hands. Some people like to hold on to their props. And you can have your head to one side or the other, see what makes sense. You can also have your head right in the middle on your chin or your forehead. It will really depend how you're propped, right? And so you experiment, find out what you prefer. Know it may change as we settle in. Sometimes the body gives us a different message, different information. And that's the beauty of restorative yoga. It changes over time. And we find out how to release and relax. So we're working truly with the parasympathetic nervous system here, right? All the systems are benefiting, but in particular this system, all the things that happen without us even having to consider, thank goodness, they operate that way. We really are living, walking, breathing miracles. All of those things that keep us going are given permission to rest truly when we do restorative yoga. Stay if you wish. I'm moving to the other side. Press down to lift up as you're ready. And I'm going to bring my legs to the other side. See if I do this differently, maybe you'll see how I'm propped. Again, I want, excuse me, the props against my hip. My legs are pretty much relaxed. And against my low ribs too. And then I'm leaning forward, but then I'm also leaning down. Slow, steady breathing. And on an inhale, beginning to press down in order to lift up. And now, the lounge chair. So we're building a bit. Be creative, improvise, see what you have around you. Stacking blocks or books or folded blankets, something, so that when you add your pillow or your bolster, they don't go tumbling over. So that may take a little practice. It takes me a little while to figure that out sometimes. I know that my neck is going to like a little support, so I'll have an extra blanket. And I know that my arms are going to want a little support, so I'll have blocks for them to lean on. You might have blankets or pillows, it all works. And you may want to layer. Let's see. And now, some of us even want a little bit of extra support at the low back, so you might want a layer of blanket here. Let's see. So you could have, oh, I know what I like to do. I like to roll the blanket and have a place to sit. So I'm boosted up a bit, and I'll have a rolled up mat on hand to place under my knees. This is a lot, so I'll try to remind you. Hopefully you can see all right. So I have that little bit of roll for my low back, and I'm checking in with the blocks. Yeah, pretty good so far. A roll of blanket or a prop, bolster under your knees. I'm gonna do 2 mats rolled. That's good. And now, yeah, something under my neck. Oh, I need my layer though. And hopefully we'll have a little time for relaxation. If Instagram land cuts us off, know that I'm missing you and thinking of you and wishing you good, happy, healthy thoughts, and looking forward to seeing you in the studio soon. So again, you'll see where you want your arms. Can you see I have my knees are propped, my back is nice and supported, and now we just need my cup of tea or lemonade. And you'll see how high your arms want to be. And if you can, let your palms face open. See how that feels for your shoulders. Oh, that feels just right. Now, some of us like the head supported so that we're gazing forward. Some of us like that opening. So you may need to take something longer. If you have a pillow like mine that's a little bit shorter than your body, and place that between you and the pillow. Oh yeah, and then that will support your head. So that's nice too. And give any busyness in the mind permission to focus on the breathing. And eventually you'll release even the focus on the breath and let that simply happen. Releasing fingers and toes, resting ankles, wrists, knees, elbows, take rest. Hips, jawbones release. All of your belly muscles resting. Rib cage releasing, imagining all of those teeny muscles between the ribs, the intercostals, taking rest. All around your heart center resting. All around your jawline releasing. Your entire head, even your hair resting. Welcome to stay here for as long as you'd like. I'm going to begin to move so that I can close our practice. Please do not rush. And if you are going to move, give yourself permission to stretch and do so slowly. Thank you, friends, for joining me here in Instagram land. If you like, we'll do a bit of breath work. Good to keep the spine warm. We did a lot of postures, so if there was one that you really liked, go back to it. Stay there a while. Receive with your hands open. Kapalabhati, inhale fully. Exhale completely. Inhale more than you think you can. And begin the short, sharp breath. Remember to pull in and up at the navel center, and you're pushing the exhale out through the nostrils. Your mouth is closed. Exhale all the air out. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Alternate nostril breath to balance the brain. The right hand prepares. You can take the Vishnu Mudra if you like. The right thumb presses right nostril. You exhale left. Inhale. Your ring finger and pinky close left. Exhale right. Inhale. Close. Pause. Exhale left. Inhale. Close. Pause. Exhale right. One more at your own pace. Releasing breath, bringing hands to heart center. Let's close once again with Om Namo Kwanchen Pusa. The sounds for the Mother of Mercy, healing and compassion to gaze kindly upon us all and wrap us in her arms, giving us a hug after inhale as you wish. Om Namo Kwanchen Pusa. Om Namo Kwanchen Pusa. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Satnam, Namaste. Peaceful new moon of the great ripening berries to you. The strawberries are on their way. New moon is a beautiful time to nurture change. Be well, friends. See you soon.